All right, guys, what's happening? What's happening? It is Wednesday, September 1st. That's right. It's the first day of the month. And this morning, we're going to be talking about problem solving. We're going to go through 7 problem solving strategies that you can use in your everyday life. Just things that have helped me be able to process, problem solving in a way that, when I have conversations with people, seems very different than what they get from a lot of other people. And so I wanted to share those with you guys this morning. I wanted to go through, how do you deal with problems? How do you approach them? How do you, kind of keep your head about you? And how do you get to the other side of that adversity or those issues as easily as possible, right? With as many people on the same page and not being offended or not being upset as you possibly can. So that's what we're going to cover here this morning. Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, what's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday to you. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, man. It is a crazy day here in Pittsburgh. There's a ton of flooding. There's a lot of rain happening from the remnants of Hurricane Ida. And, man, it's been a crazy morning. So praying for everybody that's in different parts of Pittsburgh here that have been impacted by this storm, and definitely praying for everybody who has been in this storm's path, especially those people in Louisiana and the surrounding areas down there. So I hope you guys are staying safe this morning. But let's jump right in here, guys. We're going to talk about 7 problem-solving strategies that you can use in everyday life. So I'm going to give you 7 tips on how I kind of approach, problem solving. And, when I started thinking about this list and thinking about, how we approach problems, how I specifically approach problems, it got me thinking just about how often, we actually face problems, how often we face challenges in our day-to-day lives, and just how many of those things, get solved in an instant. But there are some that are a little bit more complicated that we have to really approach from a strategic position. I'm going to give you guys some of the tips and some of the strategies that I use and how I process some of these things. But first and foremost, as usual, I just want to jump in here and say good morning to some folks. Daniel Good, what's happening? Tammy Clark, good to see you on here this morning. Sharif, good morning. Vicky, good morning. Good to see you here. Gary, Trisha, Curtis, Scott, Ed, man, we got a full house this morning. Mikey Bonetto, what's happening, man? David Martin, Christina, and Christina. Good morning to you guys, and thanks for being here. Man, I can't thank you guys enough for sharing all these episodes. I keep getting DMs and messages about different episodes, and man, I just had somebody message me last night about listening to episode like 209 or something like that. So it's crazy. We're on episode 391. Just how many people are going all the way back and listening to episodes that are, years old at this point. So it's awesome. And I just appreciate you guys so much for helping me be able to build this platform and help more people. So thank you first and foremost to you guys for that. So 7 problem-solving strategies in everyday life. All right, so here we go. Number 1, and these are in no particular order, and I will copy and paste this list into the comments here if you guys are unable to take some notes this morning. Number 1, just keep in mind, guys, that problems are part of every single day of your life, and also, to maintain your perspective. We are born wired to be able to solve problems. Like, naturally, we are born into the world and we are taught exactly how to solve problems. Now, how we solve them is a learned skill, right? We have to actually invest into the experiences and the research and the people that we're surrounded by that help us be able to figure out how to solve them. But problems are going to be part of everyday life, and you are naturally gifted in a way to be able to get through problems, right? We get through all kinds of problems from the time that we're born. The first set of problems that we solve is like, learning how to talk and how to walk and all those kinds of things. Those are problems. And we can't talk and we can't walk. Those are issues that we have to overcome, right? And we do that pretty naturally. So just keep in mind, it will enable you to have immense perspective when you keep in mind that problems are just part of life. Problems are part of every single day that we experience. And so it's not anything unusual. You are not weird because you face problems. You're not any different. Your problems aren't any different than anybody else's. One of the things I say often is you spend some time talking to other people about their problems and you'll end up keeping yours, because the problems that you know are sometimes a lot easier to face and deal with than the problems that you're unfamiliar with. So that's number one. Keep in mind that problems are just part of everyday life. Number two, this is a big one, so listen close here. Approach problems from a place of understanding first. Focus on the problem, not on the person. So when you're facing these problems, it is easy. And what I see so many people do incorrectly is they focus on the person that's involved in the problem with them, or on the opposition of the problem, and they make it personal. And if you're able to focus on the problem and not the person, you're able to stay calm. You're able to have a higher emotional IQ than the other people that are involved in the problem. And you're going to get to the other side of solving that problem much easier. And you're going to be happier and more fulfilled and more successful. There are so many benefits to focusing on the problem and not the person. But it is important for you to keep that perspective. Approach problems from a place of understanding first, right? Seek first to understand. Never focus on the person, focus on the problem. And that allows you to never get personal. Number three, problems are actually solved. This goes back to the previous one, but it's the next step in the process. Problems are actually solved by becoming partners in the solution. When you've got people on two sides of a table and you're trying to get to a solution to a problem, it is very difficult for you to come to a solution until you somewhat find common ground, until you are able to become partners in the solution. It's going to be very difficult for you to find a solution to that problem. And so problems are actually solved by becoming partners in the solution, by finding common ground, by finding some way to get everybody that's involved in that problem on the same page, at least to the highest degree that you can. It's not always possible to get everybody on the same page, but to find the right solution, you have to become partners in what the issue is in the first place, and you have to become partners in the solution. Trying to point fingers is an easy way to see the opposite of what happens when you're not partners in the solution. When everybody's trying to figure out who to blame, instead of finding a way to find common ground and get partnered up on the solution, you'll see the difference in the contrast of those things. So problems are solved by becoming partners in the solution. Number four, and this is not always possible, but take your time to think through the best solution. Take your time to think about the best solution. Now, sometimes we're under the gun, right? We're under the gun to find a solution. We have to think and come to a resolution very quickly in scenarios. And that makes, for the most difficult of solving of problems, right? Because, sometimes we're not always aware immediately what is the best solution. And we're going from our experience. We're going from, what our hunch is, what our gut tells us. But when possible, take your time to think about the best solution. And many times people are so quick to jump to trying to find a solution when that's not actually necessary in the scenario that you're in. And so, take a step back and ask yourself, do I have time to actually get to a point where I understand what the best solution is? Or is this something that has to be solved immediately? Is it urgent or is it not? And if you have time to think, you should definitely take time to think. So that's number four. Take your time to think when it's possible about the best solution that you have. Number five, maintain perspective throughout the adversity of solving the problem. What does it look like when you're on the other side of this issue? Once the problem is solved, what does this look like? And that'll allow you to maintain perspective. It'll allow you to stay calm. And once the problem is solved, the next part of perspective in this issue is, as you're going through solving the problem, you're trying to figure out, what is the actual root cause, or what are the potential root causes of this issue? so that I can, on the other side of this issue, I can get to that root cause and I can make sure that it doesn't happen again. That allows you to maintain immense perspective throughout solving that problem, because it actually motivates you to say, like, man, this is, it's kind of good that these problems arise, because we're able to, put in place a process or a procedure or something that doesn't allow this to happen again. So maintaining perspective throughout that adversity, throughout the solving of the problem, maintaining what it actually looks like on the other side will actually enable you to, in some cases, get pretty excited about the fact that you're facing a problem, because again, it allows you to improve your situation, your understanding of another person, your understanding of, how your company's functioning, how your life is functioning, whatever it is. But you're able to analyze that from a root cause perspective and actually, gain from this challenge that you're facing. So maintaining perspective throughout the entire adversity of solving the problem will actually help you tremendously. So that is a big strategy when you're going through stuff, to make sure that you maintain perspective that allows you to grow from the problem that you're solving. All right. Number 6, always remember, this is a big one, because I see people overreacting in problems and they don't need to, because no single problem will ever change your path of your destination. And it doesn't matter what it is, whatever challenge you are facing, whatever problem you have in front of you, that single problem will never, ever change your destination. It will just never change where you're actually going. It could detour you, but it will never change the actual path of where you're headed, right? It might detour you for a second, but it will never change the actual path and destination that you're headed down in your life. So stay the course, no matter how serious the problem is. Stay calm, maintain perspective, stay the course of where you're going, and just remember that no single problem will ever change that, right? No single problem will ever impact your life the way that maybe in a moment you think it will. And when you are able to think at that level, when you're able to look down the road and say, this is not going to change where I'm headed, that is the importance of having clear vision on where you're going. You are able to actually maintain the destination being as clear as it's ever been in the midst of a massive storm, a massive problem that you have to solve. And that is a really, really important strategy to maintain when you're trying to solve problems in your life. And last but not least, and this is maybe more of a perspective for you guys than a strategy. I guess it is a strategy in some way. But just always remember that people are naturally attracted to people that are able to stay calm during issues. They're able to naturally be attracted to people that do everything they can to help and to be there and to be supportive. And they are naturally going to distance themselves from people that overreact to everything. And so it's really important for us to remember to be the light in what can sometimes be dark situations, right? When we're trying to solve problems and we're in the midst of adversity, it's very easy for us to bring our emotions, to bring heaviness to a situation that doesn't really need it. And if you are able to be the light in those situations that are sometimes uncertain for people, if you're able to be the stable voice in an uncertain situation, people are naturally going to be attracted to you, and they're naturally going to follow your lead into how you solve problems, into how you face the adversity that is naturally going to happen. And so I think it's really important for us to realize how many problems we face every day and exactly how we are going about solving them. How we are approaching solving them is really important. And if you are not able to have a strategy of how you approach these things, if you are kind of just winging it with every problem that you face, you're going to have a really difficult time, and life is going to be a lot more difficult than it needs to be. But if you're able to follow these simple steps and maintain proper perspective and realize, the problems are part of everyday life, and the way that you think through them and the way that you assign meaning to the problems and the way that you can see the resolution before it happens, and you can keep your eye on the prize of where you're trying to go and how you can get everybody that's with you there. These are really important things to maintain when you're trying to solve problems throughout your life. And as you're able to become the problem solver that stays calm, that's understanding, the focus is on the problem and not the person, that never makes it personal, and just is able to cut through that adversity super easy, man, you're going to attract a tribe of people that really just want to be around you and are able to duplicate the same types of problem solving. And if you're having a problem with this, if you find yourself, overreacting a lot, if you're not staying calm, some of these things that I just listed are probably the solutions to the challenges that you face. And so I encourage you guys to think about this list. Again, I'll copy and paste it into the comments here, but think about this list and maybe pick out a couple of the things on it that might be things that you can, work on, that are very easy for you to implement and focus on. And as you focus on those things, as you realize the problems are just part of the journey, and the bigger goals you have, the bigger problems you're going to face. And that, again, the path may change. It may have a slight detour, but the destination never does. One single individual problem, it doesn't matter how big the magnitude is, it will never, never, ever change what your destination is. What you were intended to do, what God created you for, doesn't change because of a single issue in your life. And, those issues and your ability to sift through them faster, it determines the speed of your progress. And so the faster you can cut through problems, the faster you can get to resolutions, the easier you can think through things, the calmer that you stay, the faster those solutions come. I hope these tips were helpful for you guys this morning. I hope that, this gave you some perspective on how maybe you can face problems a little bit differently, maybe how you can approach adversity from a different perspective. And it has changed my life, being able to stay calm during, most things. I'm far from perfect at it, but work in progress. And I try to remind myself of these steps when I am in the midst of massive adversity. So I hope these steps were helpful for you guys this morning. And as always, I appreciate you guys being here. If you found this to be helpful, please share it out to your pages. Send the podcast episode to some people. Again, the downloads continue to grow by the day, and I appreciate you guys more than you can imagine for that. I know you guys are sharing it and sending these episodes to people because that's the only way that it grows. I don't spend too much time marketing this show. We don't pay for anything. We don't do marketing that's paid or do any ads or anything like that on this show. We just, organically try to grow it by people that, need some perspective in their life, that want some perspective, that are looking to grow. And so if you know somebody out there, I ask you to do me a favor and just share some of these episodes with them. Tag them in the comments here, share them on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms. And you guys have been doing an incredible job of that. So thank you so much for helping me grow it. And until next time, I will see you guys again tomorrow morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. I love you guys. Thanks for being here.